should you get and build Saki? Short answer, yes. Long answer, this entire video.
安倍ムジカのオブリビオニス、戸川咲子と申します。帰る方法が見つかるまでお世話になりますわ。
Togawa Sakiko, the keyboardist of Ave Mujica. A young lady with excellent musical training and dignified manner. She with her other band members currently lodges aboard Rhodes Island landship and actively participating on all kinds of tasks on the ship. Alright, Saki is the 6th star from Arknights collaboration with Ave Mujica. Meaning she is a true limited character that is very unlikely to ever come back to the game if you miss her debut. For some people, she being a true limited might be already more than enough to get her, especially if you love the other franchise. But even when you ignore the limited sparkle, gameplay wise, she and her other members are worth considering to obtain. Anyway, let's take a closer look at what she can do. Saki is our newest Lord Guard. A flexible guard who can do ranged attacks, but their ranged attacks will always have a slight damage penalty. Over the years we got all kinds of Lord Guards that offer all kinds of utility. From survival and EOT, crowd control, and support. But interestingly, in Saki's case, she is purely a DPS unit. But don't worry, you will see she took this damage dealer role very seriously. Okay, this is her stats. Being a Lord Guard, all of her stats are considered average. She got a pretty good attack, almost in the high category. But her defense and resistance isn't too high. Luckily thanks to her attack range, you can put her in a safe place to avoid being attacked. She got a pretty quick attack interval. And her DP cost is at average. Moving on, let's see her talent. Saki's talent 1 is really interesting and unique. This talent makes her attack come in the form of musical notes that will fly from her position towards the end of her range. If there's a target near the notes will pursue them and hit them. If there's no enemy, the music notes will just fly towards the end of her range and disappear shortly after. But what's interesting, since the notes won't disappear the moment it hits the edge of her range, she basically can hit enemies that are a bit away from her range. By the way, this talent also makes her keep attacking even if there's no enemy. And there are two most noticeable usefulness of this continuous attack. One being this talent 1 also gives her and other Ave Mujica members the ability to ignore some of enemy defense and resistance for every musical note on the field. The fact that Saki will attack non-stop ensures there will always be some musical notes to make Ave Mujica members ignore some of enemy defensive stats. And without a doubt, this defense and resistance ignore play a crucial part in increasing Saki's damage output. Then, another most noticeable usefulness from her continuous attack is to charge her skills. At first glance all of her skills look to be auto recovery. But all of them are actually offensive recovery skills, and with expensive cost too. Luckily, with her talent 1 that makes her continuously attacking, as well as her quick attack speed, Saki can steadily charge her skill like someone with auto recovery skills. Meanwhile, the downside of this musical note is that it needs to physically make contact with the enemy, which could be a problem when facing fast moving targets. Next, for her talent 2, Saki will fill up the fever meter of Ave Mujica members if her music notes hit an enemy or other targetable objects. A quick explanation about fever. It's a game mechanics exclusive to Ave Mujica operators. Basically think of it as some sort of ultimate. All band members share the same fever meter, and all the girls have their own way to fill it up. Once full, you can activate any of the girls' skills, and all of them will enter fever mode for the next 20 seconds. During fever mode, All the girls will use their skill, even if it's not ready yet. And no SP will be consumed during fever mode. Except for the girl that you use to activate the fever with. Because after the fever is over, she will automatically use her skill as if you just manually activated it. For most of the girls, the benefits of fever mode is that they can use their skills even when they're not ready, or spam their skills. But Saki is different, because her skills will become stronger during fever mode. Fever can be a very useful tool for AVE Mujica girls. I also recommend you bring 1 or 2 other band members to help fill up the fever meter. Since Saki required her to hit an enemy to fill it up, which can be pretty slow sometimes. Okay, that's about fever. Now back to her talent 2. As you can see, there's 2 other effects besides simply increasing the fever meter. The next one provides awesome synergy with her other band members, and it goes like this. If other AVE Mujica members' attack range overlaps with Saki's attack range, the other girl's range will be treated as the extension of Saki's range, allowing Saki's music note to reach normally unreachable targets and cover a wider area. Not only that, anyone inside this attack range will gain a permanent attack speed buff. Moving on, this is her potential and upgrade list. You got stuff that will decrease her cost, redeployment time, increase attack, and improve her talent too, by increasing the attack speed buff slightly. Pretty decent upgrade, but Saki is already amazing even without a duplicate. Next, let's see her module. Saki currently only has 1 module, and it's the Y module of Lord Guard, which will give her attack speed bonus if there are 2 or more enemies inside her range. Other than that, this module will also improve her HP, attack, and attack speed. As for the upgrade will improve her first talent. Stage 2 will increase the defense ignore, as well as increasing the number of stacks. Additionally, it will add a cool ability, where Saki will no longer get damage penalties when using her skill. And for the stage 3 upgrade, it will further increase the defense and resistance ignore. Overall, her module is highly recommended to get and upgrade, so that she can significantly increase her damage output. Especially getting the stage 2 upgrade, which makes Saki no longer get damage penalties during skill. Alright, let's see her skills. But first, don't forget that all of her skills are offensive recovery. Thanks to her always keeping on attacking, she doesn't have the typical drawbacks of someone with offensive recovery skill. And she can benefit from units who specifically provide support for this kind of skill. Anyway, here is her skill 1. She starts pretty strong. Saki will play 8 notes that deal arts damage. A pretty good burst of arts damage that can also help to improve her talent 1 defensive ignore. This skill technically can hold more than 1 charge, but Saki will automatically use her skill charge once it's full. Also, during fever mode, Saki will always use this skill to attack. Like I said, it's a pretty strong starter skill, especially for AFK gameplay. But generally speaking, her skill 2 is preferable, including for AFK. Then this is her skill 2. Saki can swap between playing her piano or organ. She will always start with piano, and in this mode, she will get a permanent attack buff. Her attacks deal physical damage, the notes fly faster, and also has a piercing ability. Although instead of piercing, it genuinely felt like a single target attack that had a small AoE. Anyway, the organ mode will deal arts damage instead. She will get a massive attack speed bonus, but for better or worse, her notes fly slower. And during fever mode, this skill will become double hits. But worth noting, during fever mode, she can't change instruments. So think ahead before you activate her ultimate. Last but not least, her skill 3, her best source of damage. Saki will expand her range and borrow piano and organ mechanics from skill 2. She will create 2 physical and arts notes when attacking, making it easier to maximize her talent 1 defensive ignore. Each music note will also get a damage multiplier. And add this with her talent 1, she can absolutely shred enemy HP easily, including bosses. And neatly enough, this skill prioritizes someone with highest defense and resistance, so that she won't waste her attacks on common enemies. Additionally, what makes this skill more interesting is that during Fever mode, all Lave Mujica members will gain immortality during Fever mode. But if anyone received a fatal hit during Fever, they will still be retreated once the Fever mode is over. Okay, for skill mastery priority. Generally speaking, you'd better prioritize her skill 3. It has insane burst damage potential. The mastery might not look like much, but bigger damage multiplier and quicker wind up time for first activation is lovely. Other than skill 3, if you like AFK gameplay and give her a more consistent damage, skill 2 is definitely your next choice, or perhaps your first choice. Although if you're tight on resources, I think just mastering her skill 3 will do you more good in the long run. Skill 1 is pretty much a skip. It's a decent skill, and you might like the instant 8 notes on skill activation. But I think it still loses in terms of consistency when compared to skill 2. And no doubt damage in skill 3. As for her base skills, all Lave Mujica girls work in the control center, and most of their base skills are tied to Saki. Except for Yumari, who is tied to the Italian operators for some reasons. Anyway, in her skill 1, Saki will increase all factories' productivity, but only to factories that are making gold. And this productivity bonus is further increased for every 20 passions. Passion is a base skill mechanic exclusive to Lave Mujica members. And Saki can get this passion from her bandmates who are also in the control center. And for her skill 2, it basically just adds a negative effect if she has more than 40 passions, where her moral will drop quicker. And this will become worse if is with her. But Uika base skill should be able to negate all of Saki's negative base skill. So ladies and gentlemen, should you get and build Saki? Even without her limited sparkle, Saki proves to be a very strong DPS unit that is worth getting. And if you aim to play with all Lave Mujica members, no doubt Saki is the key to maximize the synergy between all of the band members. And while Saki's best skill is unlocked on Elite 2 promotion, she is already a great DPS unit even at Elite 1. The important effects of her talent 2 is also unlocked at Elite 1. And top this with the fact that she is easy to use, makes her a very friendly unit for new players, which collaboration events tend to bring. Saki should be useful in general story and event content, and in integrated strategies. She is even one of the top pick guard operators in CN server, and global shouldn't be different. So yes, with how powerful she is as a DPS and limited character, you should definitely consider getting her, especially if you love the franchise where she is coming from. However, right now some of the biggest reasons to skip her is either because you want to save up for the upcoming limited, don't know or care much about the franchise, or maybe because you just don't need someone like her. Because while Saki is a strong DPS unit, her single target DPS role is nothing new, and is actually quite replaceable, especially for long-time players. But once again, overall she is a 6-star worth considering, both gameplay-wise and limited-wise. That should be all. Adios.